Hi, first grade. Today we are reading The Smallest Girl in the Smallest Grade. The author is Justin Roberts and the illustrator is Christian Robertson. Before we read, let's compare the way the kids' faces look on the cover to the way they look on the title page. It looks like there are some unkind acts happening in her class. Why do you think she is pointing her finger? Turn and talk with someone at home about that. Let's read to find out more about the smallest girl, what is happening at her school, and if that is the reason that she is pointing up her finger. I'm wondering if we can learn any lessons that might help us in our virtual classroom. Hardly anyone noticed young Sally McCabe. What is happening on the playground? What do you think is the problem? Sally was the smallest girl in the smallest grade. Sure, her name could be heard in the daily roll call, and she marched with her books down the same school hall. But hardly anyone noticed young Sally McCabe, and they certainly didn't know, or at least didn't mention, that Sally was paying super extra special attention. To the abandoned kite with the tangled string, to the 27 keys on the janitor's ring, to the leaves as they turned green to gold in the fall, to the time Tommy Torino was tripped in the hall. She watched as the wildflowers tipped toward the light and heard the howl of a hound dog late one night. She was there when the stray cats who normally fought conducted a meeting in the church parking lot. She saw Kevin McQuinn get pushed off a slide and the oncoming tears that he wanted to hide. And she'll never forget that parent teacher day when Billy's much larger father suddenly dragged him away. But through all the mean words and all the cold stares, no one even noticed that Sally was there. And they certainly didn't know, or at least didn't mention, that Sally was paying super extra special attention. She'd seen how a whisper could make someone cower, like a bulldozer crushing through fields of wildflowers. And it kept piling up, this discarded debris, those beautiful kites tangled in trees. So on February 3rd at 11:29, Sally stepped straight out of the lunch room line. She said, "I'm tired of seeing this terrible stuff. Stop hurting each other. This is enough." Now a few laughed out loud or didn't care that there was some girl with her hand in the air. But then something super extra special happened that day as Howard O. Henry suddenly set down his tray. What does Sally do to try to solve the problem? Do you think it'll work? Like waves rolling in one after another, first Molly rose up, then Michael's twin brother. It was Tyrone and Terence, then Amanda and Paul, who pushed out their chairs and stretched their arms tall. From the friendly lunch lady with the dishes she carted to that new third grade teacher who had only recently started. Yes, everyone there, even Principal Clare, had joined little Sally with their fingers in the air. And though hound dogs were destined to howl at night, and most stray cat meetings would end up as fights, and kites would continue to get stuck in trees, and all felt for a moment like the janitor's keys, fastened together with a heavy steel ring that held all the secrets to unlock everything. As the world returned to the way that it was, Sally noticed the difference as she usually does. When Billy paused briefly to open the door for Mrs. O'Connell and 17 more, or when Molly scooched over to make some space on the coral riser for Ellen and Grace. These moments that often get taken for granted, a wildflower appearing that no one had planted. The swing soon resumed the rhythm and sway, and day turned to night, and night turned to day. People remembered and would quite often mention that Sally had been paying super extra special attention, and how the world could transform and a change could be made by the smallest girl in the smallest grade. What do you notice about the playground now? How is it different from the playground at the beginning of the story? Why do you suppose it's different? How did Sally's actions impact her friends at school? What lesson can we learn from reading this book? How can we use this understanding at our school? Does this book remind you of any other books we've read? How is it the same or different? Thanks for reading The Smallest Girl in the Smallest Grade with me today. We'll look forward to talking about some of the discussion questions in our team meeting. Thanks.